Bank runs, important information. In this video, I'm going to be focusing on bank runs. I've actually done a video very similar to this one before, but I felt it was necessary to revisit this topic because of what's happened in Canada recently. Also, I believe that I'm right in saying that Poland has seen some people withdrawing cash due to the unfolding events in the Ukraine. Forgive me if any of this is entirely evident to you already. My intention is not to be patronising. In order to avoid any confusion or misunderstanding, it's best that everything gets explicitly expressed and stated as clearly as is possible. So, how do bank runs happen? Bank runs happen basically because people are concerned about losing their money. They rush to the bank to withdraw their cash. But there's a lot more to it than this. Bank runs typically occur during a financial crisis, or if, for whatever reason, there's an increased level of uncertainty. There's a lot of uncertainty around at present. There's also a lot of tension in respect of politics, society, and economics, which have to be factored into the equation. I should also say that trust and confidence are extremely important issues when it comes to economics. These factors are often overlooked, but they become much more apparent in troubled times. The situation can be likened to when you sustain an injury. Say if you've hurt your back, you realise how essential your back is in carrying out everyday tasks, where before you just took it for granted. The same is true with trust and confidence. Let's look at a relatively recent example of a bank run besides Canada. In Britain, during the financial crisis of 2007-2008, the high street bank Northern Rock found itself in trouble due to its having made some bad strategy decisions in the years prior. The BBC nightly news programme announced that Northern Rock had turned to the Bank of England for financial support, and the very next day there were queues of people outside branches trying to withdraw their money. It was the first bank run in Britain for 150 years. The bank was nationalised a few months later in order to save it. So bank runs can happen all of a sudden. When it comes to bank runs, there are two important issues that everyone needs to be aware of. The first is the amount of cash in an economy. The second is fractional reserve banking. Let's tackle these one after the other, and then we can consider the ramifications and look at the bank's likely responses. Let's start by talking about cash in an economy. First off, I have to define what I mean when I say cash. It should be fairly obvious, but just for the sake of clarity, I'm basically talking about the physical paper money and the metal coins in circulation, the ones we use every day in stores and such like. So this includes all the banknotes and all the coins of whatever denomination. I shall refer to these notes and coins from now on simply as cash. I now wish to make a distinction between cash in any digital currency in any bank or on any computer system. So what I'm talking about here are the figures you see when you log in to an online account, or the figures you see when you go to an ATM to check up on your balance, or the figures you see on a monthly bank statement. I shall refer to these from now on as a digital currency. The cash and digital currency combined go to make up the total amount of currency in circulation in a country. If I were to go out onto the streets in any country and conduct a survey asking people what percentage of cash there was in an economy as compared to the digital currency, I wonder how many people would be able to give me the correct figures, or for that matter get anywhere near to giving me the correct figures. The actual amount of cash in an economy is only about 5%. The other 95% is digital. My guess would be that most people responding to this survey would have given me a figure for cash that is far higher than a mere 5%. I have to say that I myself was surprised when I first learnt about this. Let's now turn to look at the second point. Fractional reserve banking. This is a hugely important topic because it's something that has a big effect in our economy, yet again few people seem to know about this. So what is fractional reserve banking? It's best explained by way of an example. Imagine that you're a good saver and you've saved $1,000. Your bank account, probably a savings account, is in credit by $1,000. It could just as well be pounds or yen or euros or whatever currency. It really doesn't matter. Same but different. bank is legally required to keep hold of a certain percentage or fraction of that currency in its vaults. This is known as the reserve requirement, and the bank is permitted by law to loan out the remainder to other bank customers. The ratio to savings to loans could be 9-1, so this means up to 90% of the original $1,000 deposit can be loaned out. So this works out to be $900. Returning to the reserve requirement, the bank only has 10% of the currency in connection to customer accounts. That's $100 in our example. And even then, this might not be in the form of cash in its vaults. It could just be digital currency on a computer system. What are the ramifications? What do you imagine might occur in the event of a bank run? With regard to people wanting to take cash out of the banks, either via the ATM or going to the bank and requesting a larger sum of money, well, there's not actually that much cash in the system for them to take out. Due to the cash versus digital currency percentage, banks don't hold much physical cash. Even if all the physical cash in an economy were to be outside of the banks in the hands of the populace, there wouldn't be enough to go round. I'm afraid to say that the figures simply don't match up. When you measure the currency holdings in all the accounts of all the people in a country, the amount of cash available in an economy, against the amount of people in a country, there's a mismatch. And then, in addition to that, due to the banking practice of fractional reserve banking, banks don't hold much physical cash. The upshot is that the vast majority of people won't be able to get their money out of the banks. Only a very small percentage of people will be able to get their money out. Probably only a few at the very front of the queue will be able to withdraw any cash from an ATM. How are the banks likely to react? Well, the banks will, in all likelihood, impose capital controls. They will put a limit on how much money you can take out of ATMs, or they will simply close their doors and announce a bank holiday. Be advised, they can't do otherwise. They have to react in some way, or else they will fail. This is why bank runs are so calamitous. There's another important thing I should mention before ending. Our overlords have been waging war on cash in recent years. They've been trying to eliminate cash altogether and make all economies 100% digital. Their plans are to bring in central bank digital currencies, CBDCs. This is, in my opinion, simply to do with control. Our overlords are crazy for control. They are not yet in full control, but make no mistake, this is their ultimate aim. CBDCs will give them the control that they so desire. Just look at China with their social credit system if you want to see what this looks like. It's down to us as to whether we're willing to surrender control to them. I, for one, am not willing to let this happen. I will fight for my freedoms, hence these videos. Anyway, let this video serve as a warning to you all. Wise up and rise up.